What's up, Orlando Magic fans? Orlando Magic Soundoff is back. I know you guys have missed us, and we have a lot to cover. So, as opposed to me talking, let's get right to it as we talk about new guys, what we have left for the next month, and Cole Anthony. What's up, Magic fans, and welcome back to another episode of Orlando Magic Soundoff. I'm Mackenzie Thurkill, and today I am joined by Paul and Carlton. Guys, how you feeling? You ready to do this?
Oh, good. Oh, good.
Absolutely, all right,
100%.
let's get right in. Let's get right into it with our very first topic of the show. And today it's all about talking about the new guys. It's been, of course, a couple weeks since we've had our last episode, so we have a lot of catching up to do. And the first person I want to start with is Wendell Carter Jr. So, Paul, let's go to you first. What has been your initial impression of him the first couple games you've seen him?
Do you know what? Honestly, I really like Wendell. I think the guy's really come in and impressed. He's... For a guy who was, I'd read before that was a little bit soft under the basket, he's given Nikola Jokic all he could handle, and he got Sabonis really frustrated a couple of nights ago against Indiana. He's scoring well. Granted, he didn't have the best scoring night against Indiana, but the previous 5 games he'd hit double figures. What more can we want? The guy's working hard. He's got clearly ability on the defensive end. Showed good handles. I think it was the dunk against Denver, where he put the ball on the floor, went and sunk it. That was a lovely dunk. So yeah, I'm happy. I'm really happy to see what he's bringing, and I'm liking the partnership that we're starting to see with Tuma as well.
Yes, I am loving that partnership, which we are going to get to in a little bit too. Carlton, what have been your thoughts so far?
So I also kind of agree with Paul and everything. I've definitely been really impressed with what I've seen from Wendell Carter, because I know that when he was on his former team, he hadn't really had much of a chance to kind of, take over and be his own player. But here in Orlando, he's had his opportunities to be a starter, and he's really had some big shoes to fill because, as we all know, we lost Vucevic. But he's done a really good job kind of taking that role of the center position and not only scoring when we need to, but he's also added a really good defensive presence. And like Paul said, he did a really good job against Nikola Jokic in that game against the Nuggets, who's a really, really good both offensive and defensive player. And so I'm just really impressed with everything we've seen from Wendell Carter so far.
Yeah, you kind of touched on that. I was going to say his lateral quickness has been something that's been very noticeable, and I think Steve Clifford has touched on that a little bit. Just looking at his stats, though, so he's averaging about 11.5 points per game, just under 8 rebounds per game, and just over 2 assists per game, which I know we want to see those stats be a little bit higher considering who our center was previously in the starter position. But I think the thing that's so exciting about this team right now, and granted, he's only the first guy we've really touched on, is how young and hungry they are and how much tenacity they have and how much they're still learning each other, but how quickly we're seeing that familiarity build in this team. And I think that's what's so exciting about this. And we see someone like Wendell, who at first when the trade went down, everyone was like, and now we're all kind of like, oh, okay. Like,
we'll listen.
Okay, we're cool with this. Like we see the trajectory, and I think that's the exciting part, especially with a guy like him who just has such great hands and such good coordination.
I didn't expect that he'd got such a good eye for a pass. I wasn't expecting the assists and the ability to put the ball on the floor and see somebody else move the ball out on a pass. I've been impressed by that. I have been impressed by that with him.
Yeah, definitely. I know Steve Clifford also talked about how great of basket protection he has and how that's obviously a very important component being at the 5 spot, and that he just really has been really pleased with his performance thus far with the Orlando Magic. But let's move on to our next player, who is RJ Hampton. So with that, Carlton, what you got for me?
Well, again, with RJ Hampton, he's also, I believe he's a rookie. He's been doing a really good job so far from what I've seen on the Magic. He's done a really good job kind of making sure that his basketball IQ, that's what I'm trying to think of. His basketball IQ, I think, is really good. He kind of knows where he needs to be, and he's getting the ball to our players in a really good manner. And him, kind of like Wendell Carter, because we're missing Fultz and everything, we kind of needed that stability. Another kind of flashy guy at point guard, and I think not Wendell Carter, RJ Hampton can bring that to us for the rest of the year. So I think that RJ Hampton so far has done a really good job with his basketball IQ and really just getting the players in the right spot, being a good floor general.
Paul?
I agree with Colton. The guy's come in from he's in his rookie season. Didn't have many opportunities with Denver, obviously. I have to say it was a trade straight away that I liked. Getting Gary Harris and RJ along with a couple of picks for Aaron. I thought it was a good trade. I was happy with that straight away. Excuse me. The thing that has impressed me hugely with RJ is his athleticism and his ability to drive with the ball. Once he puts the ball on the floor, nobody's keeping up with him. He's good in transition, and I say driving for the basket. Yeah, he's got some great acceleration. He's clearly a very tenacious and aggressive defender. He's going to want to develop that. You can see that he's wanting to take a pride in his defensive ability. At which point you've got to look and say he could fill in very nicely for the loss of Aaron Gordon's defence. So again, let's see him develop. Let's give the guy a chance.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we've only seen these guys for a couple of games now, and we still have a month left in the season to really see what this team can do. And I think that's really what is so exciting about all of it. But I think what's funny is with talking with about these last two players, and of course we're gonna get to Gary Harris because we finally got to see him take the
Yay.
court on Friday, which was so exciting. But I think the funny thing with touching on all these players is that everything that we keep bringing up is defense. And with that being said, knowing we have a head coach like Steve Clifford who is so defensive minded, there's obviously you start to see the bigger picture. I think now that we've all had the shock value taken away from the trades, we're like, oh, okay. Yeah. So this is what we're building toward. Steve Clifford, even Van Gundy even said, if there's a guy you want developing a young team, it's a guy like Cliff. And Cliff, I think, has been very methodical in how he's gone about putting out these starting lineups, how he's giving these players their minutes. And I know there's been a little bit of there have been fans who have been upset in terms of how he's gone about it, but I think he's done it the correct way because he's like, I'm not going to put RJ Hampton as my point guard when right now I just want him focusing on making the correct passes and having the correct instincts. And I think that's really the beautiful thing about it. But anyways, let's now move on to our next player, Gary Harris. Like I said, we finally got to see him rock an Orlando Magic jersey on Friday night. He played just under 18 minutes. His offense stats not the greatest, but it's okay. It's all okay because I think it's his defense is what really shined that night since he was only one of two players in the positive that game. It was him and Michael Carter Williams. But Paul, what did you think of his debut Friday night?
I say the trade that we got with moving Aaron Gordon on for Gary Harris coming in, I was really pleased at it. I'm quite happy with that. I think that Gary is a legitimate starter in the league. He's a fantastic defender. The guy really played well against Kawhi in the playoffs. I think it was last season. Really forced his way into that in that team and made it very, very difficult for Kawhi to be effective. He was instrumental in them coming back and taking the series in the end. He came in. He got, what was it, 2 baskets? I think he got 8 points. The 2 baskets he made were nice shots. One, I think, had quite a degree of difficulty about it. Anyway, best way in the world. Who am I to criticise anybody for shooting? I couldn't hit a barn door. So, but as you said, Mackenzie, he's not necessarily there for his shooting ability. We all know that he did actually have a really good shooting percentage from the 3 a few seasons back, and if he can get something of, even 35% of accuracy back for the 3-point, we're going to be very happy with that. That's going to help our scoring along massively. It's going to take some of the focus away from Terence Ross. It's going to give him more opportunities. So I'm more than happy at what he came on and showed, because as you say, he was in the positive. He's been out for 30 games, I think, since the start of February. So there's going to be inevitable rust. He came in and he played hard. He played the best he could in a new team that he's not had a lot of opportunities to actually practice with and really play in a live situation with. So all good.
Carlton?
Yes. Kind of building off what Paul said, I really do think his defense is really there, and we did get to see it on Friday when they were playing the Pacers and everything. Because I do think that looking at Gary Harris, I think that he has a lot of the defensive capabilities and defensive IQ that Aaron Gordon had, which is the guy that we kind of gave up to get Harris and Hampton. So I definitely think that we've kind of got back what we wanted on the defensive end, which I'm really excited for. And on the offensive end, I know that we saw his stats and everything, but watching the game, I wasn't really mad with his shot selection and everything. And some nights you're just kind of off, and you just don't hit anything. So I feel like if as long as he can keep up that good shot selection, we can kind of get that better production on the offensive end. And again, if he has that same defensive abilities that we've seen, against Kawhi and all these other good players, I really think that he can really fit in and become that kind of veteran leader that this young team really needs. Because we, as young as our team is, and it's great and exciting to see them all develop, I feel like there still needs to be that veteran presence aside from Ross. I feel like he can definitely bring that veteran presence on the team, which is really useful.
Yeah, with this team being as young as they are, there isn't really a lot of veteran presence right now. Gary Harris is 26, so he is a veteran in this league, even though I feel like a lot of people, when you tell them that, they're like, what? No, there's no way. But yes way. So it really is going to be telling as we move forward that I think he really is probably going to step up as one of the vets. I think the team's overall organization was actually a little bit better when he was on the floor, and I think we'll see that progress.
Can I just say, Mackenzie,
Yeah.
that kind of touches on one of the things I was thinking, that when you're talking about somebody on the defensive end, not everything that they do shows up in the box score. So if that's all you're
Very
looking
big
at,
facts.
then you aren't actually giving the guy credit for the work that he's done. And Gary came in and worked very, very hard with the minutes restrictions that he's had and getting back into basketball at a very high level after being off for 30 games. Well played to that.
30 games is a very long time in this league. And I think that's a very good point that you made, Paul, is that I think there's a lot of times we look at players and there is so much that doesn't show up in the box score that you really have to watch the game and know the game to pick up on. And I think just having him, even for shy of 18 minutes, I think we were able to see all of that, what he's capable of and what we can expect moving forward. But there was someone who did make his return last week, and now we're going to switch topics a little bit. While he is a new player to the league this season, we've already seen him don a Magic jersey a number of times, and that is Cole Anthony, who came back. Huzzah! Excitement. We were all very, very thrilled about it. So let's just talk about his return and what we've seen now in 2 games since he's been back and just really acknowledge how excited we all are. So let's talk about Cole Anthony. Carlton, we'll start with you.
Yes, Cole Anthony. He's a really even just not even watching him play basketball, just following him on Twitter and Instagram and everything. He's just such like a fun personality to kind of see, and the energy he has, and that energy I see on Twitter and everything, I can see it on the floor. And the team, they respond to that energy, which is exactly what a young team needs. They need that energy to feed off of. And he's had 2 really good games back so far against, I believe, the Nuggets and then the Pacers and everything. I remember when he first checked in from his injury, he led the team right back into it. We were trailing a little bit, but he came back in and he brought us back. And that's exactly what we want from a young point guard who's trying to learn his way. And he's done a really good job. But I just love the energy I see from him. He's just a really energetic, fun player to watch.
Yeah, he's definitely been a mainstay on the sideline for the Orlando Magic through his injury. He, as like you said, he just brought so much excitement and so much energy and just so much passion for the game. I know he even said with having missed 25 games, he's like, that was almost like an entire college basketball season. I can't believe I missed that much, but you would have never thought that was the case with his presence just being there and being on social media and not letting the team get down despite everything that was going on with all the injuries that this team was dealing with and just all the ups and downs. But Paul, what did you make of his comeback?
Do you know one of the things I've really liked seeing this week? It was just a picture that the Magic have put out of Cole sat during one of the games listening to Markelle Fultz talking to him. You could see Markelle was giving him instruction, talking about the game. The guy's a sponge. He wants to learn. He wants to develop. Coming back to what Carl said, the energy that the man brings. He comes onto the court, and we're here watching in England. You're over in Orlando. Some of you are in the arena, luckily. But there's a buzz. You have to watch this. You have to watch when he's on the court because something could happen. He has that little X factor that every team needs. And if we start to see him get back to some of the form that he had prior to the injury, then we are going to see a really good player. He's a key to our future, and he's certainly a key to the rest of the season. Because
Yes, he is.
he brings an energy, he brings an ability. He's got a good shot on him. Okay, I think it's about 33%, 35% from the three at the moment, which, yes, it can improve. But he's been asked to do a lot in a team that has been full of injuries. So he's probably actually done more than he would normally have been expected to in a rookie season. So fair play to the man. He's worked really hard. To see him back on the court, the three first baskets that he got, I think it was against the Wizards where he put the third. I think it was the third basket where he put the ball on the floor, showed really good handles going in. He'd sunk a three beforehand, and like Carlton said, he was instrumental in bringing us back into that game. I know ultimately we lost the game, but he really brought an energy to the team that lifted us and put us back into that game. I love the guy.
I think one of my favorite attributes of Cole is that even after him making his comeback on Wednesday night against Washington, it's that as opposed to wanting to talk about his own performance, he was more focused on the team and the team's performance and the team having not gotten a win and the fact that he couldn't have been better for them. It wasn't about him and him not having played 25 games. And he was like, no, 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 no. Like, one, I am going to play the game earlier in the day, which we were all excited about because he was like, oh, I'm 100% playing. But then after the game, he was like, no, it's not about me, which when a guy who's won that young, was drafted in the first round, has missed as much time as he has, was also thrusted into a role way earlier in the season than expected. And like you said, Paul, has just really been a sponge around this team. I know exactly what picture you're talking about. They're in the pink and purple sweatsuits, which I so loved when I saw them walk out that game. I was like, oh, look at that. They're so adorable. They're twinning.
And he's just sat listening, learning the game.
Yeah. Which is
Taking
so
on
important,
advice, and
especially
that's
from a
what you
guy
need.
like Markel, who's really not that much older, but has also gone through the process of having been injured, making the comeback, coming back, doing spectacularly well to then get injured again. And it's like, look, man, like this, one, this is what it is. Like, two, like, this is not how like only you get better. This is how we get better because we are now on the same team. Because the name on our jersey is the same. Like, let's come back like stronger, which I very much appreciate.
And again, in the same way as Gary Harris had missed 30 games, Cole had missed 25. I think Cole had missed 25 games. That's a long stretch of a season. So to come in and work as hard as he did, he will get his form back. Absolutely confident of that.
Yeah, 100%. Let's get to some of our tweets of the week that I looked long and hard for. Actually, I didn't. I found these very quickly, which was rather exciting. First one coming from George, who said, "This is the most exciting Orlando Magic basketball I've watched since the Dwight era," which that's a big statement considering the Dwight era was almost a decade ago. But I think this is very exciting because we have done a huge rehaul. We're rebranding the team. It's a bunch of young guys, and I think that there's a lot to be said for that in that excitement. But let's go to our next tweet, which is from Shane, who said, "Not gonna lie, I was heavily against the Vooch and Evan trades, but the performances so far from Wendell Carter Jr. and Bulls' lack of wins since the trade has made me very happy. Can't wait for the future." So I think the consensus is that everyone is excited. Would you guys agree?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Watching some of the games before the trades, it was kind of, if I say it was on, but I was doing other things. I was perhaps on my iPad, and the game would be on in the background. Since the trades, I've been watching the game properly. I've been glued to the screen watching the team. That says there's an excitement, because they're making me want to watch them play. Yeah, I'm massively excited by this rebuild. I think we're starting from a much stronger position than we were previously. In hitting this reset button, we've clearly looked and thought there's JI to come in, there's Markel Fultz to come back in. We've got a core of good young players in Schumer, Mo, add in Brain's gone. Who was I thinking of? RJ, obviously bringing in RJ. It's also very easy to forget that we've got a lot of players who are only 3-4 seasons in. So we have a very good, strong core of young players, and it was a good time to hit reset.
Yeah.
Carlton.
This is like really good like development time for all the players because now that all the big names are gone, we had the starters that we've had since the Dwight era because Vooch and Evan both came from that trade, but now we kind of have fresh faces and we finally have a chance to see different people kind of take the lead, which is very interesting to see. Who's going to be that alpha, especially since we're still waiting on Markel and Ji. There's a chance for another alpha to emerge, and maybe once Markel and Ji come back, that alpha who kind of ended the season on a strong note can really kind of build some more chemistry, with Markel and Ji, and kind of help build this strong young core that we're looking to kind of find our way because we need to find that new identity now that we have a different cast of players, which I think is really exciting.
It is exciting. A bunch of young bulls. You love to see it. But Carlton, there's a word you said, development, which kind of leads me into our last topic of the show. So right now, as we record this, it is April 11th. The last game of the regular season is May 16th for the Orlando Magic. So that means a month and 5 days that we have left of the Orlando Magic basketball regular season. So that gives us, let's say, a month. What do you guys want to see from this team over the course of that time as we finish off this season? Carlton, I'll start with you.
Yeah, kind of like what I was just saying. I really want to see kind of like how these new additions that we've gotten from the trade, RJ, Wendell Carter, and of course our young guys like Chuma, Cole Anthony. I want to kind of see how they kind of move into the limelight and see them develop and kind of get a chemistry going, so that we're not stuck kind of rebuilding for such a long time. Maybe once we have this development and have this time to shine, that the next 2 or 3 years are kind of back where we want to be. We want to be competitive. We want to be able to reach the second, third round of the playoffs, make it to the finals, all that good stuff. But I feel like this last month of the season can really be used to assess who can do what, and who can get where, and more importantly, what kind of team we're going to be next season. Because I think that's the most important question that everyone wants to know is like who are we going to be next season, as a Magic team. So that's what I want to see. Yeah.
Paul?
Yeah. For me, I totally agree with Colton. I want to see development. I want to see the young guys allowed to play without pressure. If we win, we win, and we move up the rankings. If we lose, so be it. It doesn't hurt our lottery odds. I'm not a tanker, by the way. I will never watch sports and not cheer for my team. I want to see my team win. I do get the tanking thing, but I want the team to win. I can't help it. I want to see us have some more settled rotations because 24 starting
24
rotations
different
we've had for the
starting
season.
lineups.
That is absolutely no use for any team. There's no continuity there. So I want to see us be a little more injury free, allow the team to get some chemistry, cohesion, that understanding of a new group coming together as they learn, the defensive sets, the offensive sets, what each player is expected of to do, what each player is capable of doing, and allowing them the opportunity, as I say, to play. Just let them play. And then we see what gaps we've got come the close season, what we need to plug.
Yeah.
I don't really think I could have summarized it better myself, personally, between the two of you. Carlton, what were you going to say, though?
Yeah, I was gonna say one more thing. I was kind of agreeing with what Paul was saying about if we win, we win, and if we lose, we lose. Because I agree with Paul. I don't like the concept of tanking at all. I want to support the team, want to see them win and everything. But I think an added benefit of the team winning games is seeing our young guys get confidence, because nobody kind of gets confidence, when you lose, 10 in a row, or just keep losing. But even if you win, like you sneak a win against Los Angeles or sneak a win against who else are you playing, like the Celtics or anything else, that gives you like, oh hey, we can do this. We can beat the good teams. We can be up there as long as we do this, that, and the other. And that's kind of what I want to see every time we get that win. And that's another reason why I would never support tanking and all that. So
Yes, I agree with both of you on that, because I don't agree with it either. Because I think, like you said, I think building confidence, especially right now with this team being as young as they are, trying to familiarize with how each other likes to play, where each other likes the ball at, that's going to come in time, but I think when you can sneak out those wins, you're like, "Oh, okay, we're on to something here." And that's when you build it going into the summer and then going into next season, because to think like when you look at just even in past seasons since Steve Clifford has been here, we always get hot in the back end of the season. That's when we really start to get the ball rolling. And it's not like these guys don't kick it in the off season or aren't going to continue to practice with each other during the off season, especially when there is so much newness and all of these guys have the hunger to be successful, especially the guys who have been traded, who want to prove something, the young guys who are going to come in here and be like, no, I want minutes. I want to be in that starting lineup. Like, I want to be the reason why Orlando is on the map again and back in the playoff picture again in the future. So that's all I want to see. I just want to see us grind it out. I want to see them become familiar with each other. I just want to see excitement, which I think we already are, and it's great.
I will take 20 odd games or whatever we've got left of heart and hustle until the end of the season as the team learns.
Absolutely.
You look at somebody like Mo, he looks so much happier at the moment. He's enjoying his time on the court, and that's good to see. And I've not always been sold on Mo.
I appreciate the honesty, but that's such a huge tell, right? When you see guys smiling on the sidelines despite what the standings say, and they're actually having fun doing their job, and that's part of their job I think they all talk about it. They all recognize that they are very blessed to be in the situation that they're in, to do the job that they have. And if you can't enjoy it and have fun, knowing that you obviously have the competitive element attached to it, but if you're not enjoying yourself, then why are you there?
Yeah. Hey, there's a lot of people would love the opportunity.
Yeah, exactly.
We also enjoy what we do, and I feel like if they're having fun, that's really good. That should be supported. There should be no weird stuff going on. So.
Well, gentlemen, I appreciate you guys taking time to join me today to talk all things Orlando Magic. I had a great time. I hope you guys did as well. So thank you, Paul. Thank you, Carlton, for joining me today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, and go Magic.
Yeah, go Magic.
I once again want to thank Paul and Carlton for taking time out of their day to join me here on Orlando Magic Soundoff. And I want to remind you, the viewer, that we want to hear your thoughts and opinions on the Orlando Magic. So if you want to be on any of our upcoming episodes of Orlando Magic Soundoff, make sure you let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you never miss an episode, as well as some of our other amazing Orlando Magic content. Well, that'll do it for me. I'll see you next week. And until next time, I'm Mackenzie Thurkill.